and salutations, everybody. So this is, I guess you can say, my return to the BLU Grand M and just my impressions overall with this phone and if it's a hit or miss. So, big question. Hit or miss? My opinion, total miss. And I can tell you guys, I really wanted to like this phone. I'm not going to get rid of it. Okay, it's going to stay in my collection. I'm still going to play around with it over Wi-Fi. No big deal at all. But to me, it's considered a miss just basically on the software experience overall. Okay, build quality is absolutely good. I have no complaints with the build quality whatsoever. So the metal build to this device is quite nice. Yes, it kind of resembles a certain phone. But I think the idea behind it was good. The idea was really good. The build quality is really good. The software, as far as like the specs of it, is kind of a bummer. But the software experience is actually pretty bad. Okay, so I've had the pleasure of owning this phone, and I've owned the BLU Vivo 5 Mini. Okay, both are spec'd exactly the same. Okay, this device really only has 8 gigabytes of internal storage and 512 megabytes of RAM. Okay, so on paper, that already tells you you're not going to have the greatest experience with this phone as far as it being able to run day-to-day operations as you would with even a budget phone that only sports 1 gigabyte of RAM. 512, I don't know what BLU was thinking. We've seen phones that are priced the same as the Grand M that give you a lot more. So generally, what was it that they couldn't beef up the amount of RAM that this phone has? In short, multitasking, non-existent. Okay? Loading applications, extremely sluggish. And yesterday I deleted YouTube off of here out of aggravation, because trying to play a video, the audio would play, the video would stop, freeze for like 30 seconds and then try to catch up with where the audio is at and where the video should be at. So playback video, non-existent on this phone. It is absolutely a complete bummer when I look at this phone and I'm like, what would it have been like? Even if it still had 8 gigabytes of internal storage, if it had 1 gig of RAM, okay, just 1 gig, you'd be able to do a lot more with this phone than what you can do right now. Basically, the only apps that I have running on this phone, with majority of them disabled, okay, damn notifications. Alright, that's it. That's it. Not even over 20 apps. The response, because of the amount of RAM that this phone has, basically every task takes a long time. Turning this phone on not long ago before I started this video literally took almost 5 minutes to boot. It was trying to optimize one application. It took 5 minutes to optimize one application. That right there kind of tells you how stressful it could be to use this phone. Trying to run any other applications is pretty much non-existent unless it is a pre-installed system app. So the only applications that I actually have on here really to use is Opera Mini, which is what I would use for YouTube and everything else. And then I have my Play Newsstand app so I could, read articles and whatnot. And that's it. Everything else, just really the phone wouldn't be able to manage to run those applications. Camera on this phone is not bad at all whatsoever. Okay, when I say not bad, that kind of tells you it's not the best, it's not great, and it's not really good, but it's not very terrible. I mean, you can take some pretty good pictures with this phone. Just don't expect it to be high res, high quality, or anything like that. That's non-existent. This phone is an entire miss because the potential that BLU could have put into this phone, say like what they've done with their R1 HD or even some of the other ones that they kind of tend to focus on. The Grand M could have been a exquisite and outstanding budget device. They could have packed in 1 gigabyte of RAM at $79. This goes for almost $100. You couldn't get 1 gigabyte of RAM. BLU, what are you thinking? 512 megabytes of RAM does not push anything today whatsoever. The 8 gigs of internal storage is no big deal because this has adaptable storage, so you were able to use a micro SD card and expand the storage on here, so there was no issues with the storage itself. But the RAM, the amount of RAM that you have, okay, you can push very weak applications that wouldn't require so much memory to run. But if you try to do anything, say as like YouTube, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, that's where it becomes a very tedious thing to try and maneuver, navigate, and work and use. So, a biggest miss in BLU's book. The Vivo 5 Mini, expecting it to be for what it is, I was totally okay with that phone being at what it was. But something like this, no, that's unexcusable. I mean, you have a freaking metal design phone, okay? Metal unibody design. All right, you go as far as to kind of make it look flashy and everything. You even place an LED light on the front of the phone so you can take selfies with a good amount of lighting, yet you totally fail on being able to have applications run on this phone. So that is like my biggest beef with the Grand M. Other than that, I think that maybe BLU should really start thinking about how they're positioning the manufacturing of their devices. Even though they're supposed to be budget devices, there are other companies such as LG, Samsung, Motorola, HTC, even Huawei and ZTE and Kyocera that have budget devices in the same range as this phone and give you a bit more. So that's I think why I have so much frustrations with this phone, because just looking at it and the feel and everything, the potential is there for it to be something good for consumers out there. The execution was a miss by a football field and some. So hopefully you guys appreciate my impressions of the BLU Grand M. Would I advise anyone to pick this up? No. Because I wouldn't want anyone to drop $80 on a device like this and have the worst experience. This phone would be the reason why some Apple users would go and say Android is sluggish, Android is weak, Android is this and that. Because of phones like this, BLU, stop doing it. You're giving Android a bad name. But that's it for you guys. That's all I got for you guys right now. If you guys enjoyed what I had to say about this video, drop a like. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.